Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 53. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. Well, we took a week off, but I think we're all feeling nice and refreshed. Brian and I did some traveling. I got to hang out with my bro, Aaron, Tune Thy Heart in Arizona. What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I'm just
fantastic.
Just traveling around, and it's fun to travel sometimes, especially when you get to go to the city of Satan. I mean, New York.
Brian. Aaron, it was a pleasure hanging out with you in Arizona. Of course,
Yeah, man, it was good having you.
Beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah,
Likely
perfect time of year.
Post-apocalyptic place, but beautiful all the same.
Yeah, exactly. We got lots of that out here. Lots of landscape. We barely even scratched the surface, too.
Yeah, I would say that I am feeling very blessed right now, and I guess Brian is feeling blessed too, that Brian's had the opportunity to go on some podcasts, do some IRL podcasts in real life and have some real conversations. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what God is going to do with, you know, the three of us potentially collaborating with other podcasters and traveling and just seeing stuff. Because I think that I love JT's Mixtape because we can get a wide perspective on the world because we see different alternative perspectives from different people in different places. But there's no substitute for actually going to the places and seeing them.
Yeah, that's a fact. There's just a whole different, like you could have easily taken pictures or shown pictures of that statue in Sedona, but there's just a different, like a whole different energy when you're there and you're seeing it and you're like filming it yourself and you're sharing I don't know, the passion level is just a little bit differently. And plus I think it's nice for the viewers too, because especially given the content, the type of content we share and that we talk about, not regurgitating pictures and images that are already out there on the internet and being able to share your own authentic images and video, it's nice and refreshing because most people don't do that. They can't do that.
No, that's why I say I feel blessed that we can do that. Yeah, Brian, so what is your understanding or your perspective going to a old world city like NYC? That's got, like I said, I went in 2017, but I don't have these eyes when I was there that time. So yeah. I knew stuff was unusual and I knew things were impressive and awesome, but there's really no substitute for actually going there and walking into those buildings and seeing, again, like it's always about, like, even Aaron and I went to Prescott, or Prescott, as it's probably properly pronounced. And they have this old world courthouse that, unless you see somebody up on the steps next to the columns, it does it no justice, right? It's just like, it looks like just every other kind of Romanesque building you've ever seen. But like when you see somebody next to the columns, is mind blowing that they say they built this in a very primitive time in the early 20th century with probably a population that had no justification for building a building of that scale in that architectural style.
Yeah.
So Brian, sorry, I just over.
No.
So what did you think about NYC?
I mean, I saw that photo you posted of the pillars, and it was just like, dang, like standing. It was like, that is massive. And you think about it, and you're like, why would they build that? Why would they build such a structure? You know, and then being in New York, seeing like that chapel, that old chapel, I forget the name of it.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Cathedral. I've saw so many churches and so many places there, but St. Patrick's Cathedral, oh my gosh, that place is massive. They all have Nephilim-sized doorways, by the way, like massive doorways. You're like, why do they have such massive doors in these doorways? And I'm just like, even the doors to the Statue of Liberty, you know, they're massive. They're like Nephilim sized too. Did you know that? The base?
No, I didn't. I mean, I only, out of all the things we did in New York City when I went, we did not take the ferry over. But I saw you did take the ferry over. Did you get to go next to the Star Fort and everything?
They blocked it off and they were working on it and they wouldn't let us. And like when the time, like I got there, they were just like, oh, we can't go into it for some reason. I don't know. They're doing some. I don't know. They're planning on blowing it up. Probably
They knew you were coming.
They're gonna blow it up and blame it on terrorists.
Close it off.
That's what.
The funny thing
like.
is, yeah. So when you go to a place, kind of a small town, I guess Prescott's not really small per se now. I'm not exactly sure what the population is now, but that building obviously stands out like a sore thumb in a place like that. But New York City, it's like almost, kind of like the narrative of New York City. It's everything's bigger and there's more in Manhattan. So there's so many buildings like that where it's even really hard to even take them all in. But like you can kind of appreciate it in a small place. But New York City, I just remember Greco-Roman, ancient looking structures are
everywhere.
Yeah. Everywhere.
It looks like the whole city looks like that. And you're just like, man, whoa, this is crazy. Like, and dude, you know, you know what they call the thing that takes you to the ferry that takes you to the Statue of Liberty of Satan? They call it the Battery.
The Battery.
The Battery. And I asked the guys, I'm like, is it like, why is this called the Battery? Like, why is this area called the Battery? And I was like, is this like battering rams were here or something? Like what's the, and they're like, I don't know. I was like, could it be that maybe like New York runs the world and maybe the Battery is the Statue of Liberty, which is actually Satan? And they were like, what? They're like, what did you just say? And I was like, the Statue of Liberty is Satan. You know that, right? And they were just like, I've never heard that before. I was like, you've never heard that before, bro? Dude, so many people are naive.
Obviously, haven't watched JT's mixtape.
They didn't. They obviously
say that all the time.
Dude, there's so many people that are naive when you talk to them about this stuff. Like in New York, it's interesting. The people are way more talkative than in LA. Like way more communicative. Like, you can talk to anybody and they'll talk back to you. Whereas in LA, you talk to people and they're like, don't talk to me. And they like have like a social, like they're like socially retarded. But like in New York, everyone talks to people and they're very like just honest and blunt with what they think. But it's
yeah, that's kind of what you get from New Yorkers.
Dude, it's great. I love it because I'm kind of that way. So I was just like telling people, I was touring people. I was like on the ferry and the ferry was like, they're like, this is the Statue of Liberty. It was actually a gift from the French. And I said, from the French Freemasons, actually, just to clarify, everyone. And I was like touring the whole guide and I kept like correcting it. And people were like watching me like, the heck? And like afterwards, some people were like, hey, what'd you say about that earlier ago? Was that really true? And I'm like, yeah, it's true. Look it up. they're like, huh? It was super interesting.
Well, it's interesting. They say like a lot of those bastion forts, that's what the Star Forts are called, bastion forts. But a lot of them are called batteries. Like a battery, like some kind of battle thing. I'm not exactly sure where the root of the word comes from. But yeah, I know when we talked about that documentary called The Lost History of Flat Earth, is that why they're called batteries? Because the geometric patterns in the architecture are literally about energy, potentially free energy, because a lot of those bastion forts, at one time, maybe not currently, some of them still. I know the one in Fort Monroe in Hampton, Virginia, really close to me. It's supposedly like the biggest one in America. And yeah, there's a like kind of a canal around the whole thing. And so that's what people have kind of drawn the conclusions that it has something to do with the architecture and the water that surrounds them. So of course, being on what is it, Liberty Island? Of course, we were thinking it was Ellis Island before, and now we're wondering if that's some Mandela effect thing.
No, Ellis Island is where they brought the immigrants in.
Obviously, that being around the water, and you have this massive star fort, and then you have this giant edifice to Satan there.
So
is that about
battering
energy?
rams, like if you think about a battering ram, like they split doors open, right? Like they implode it or destroy it so that they can get in. If you think about the star forts from like a water perspective, they kind of batter the water so that the water splits and doesn't impact the actual area, right? Like the way they're designed. Like if any giant waves, like even like tsunami size waves were to come at it, most of them, the main like fort or building or whatever is such a distance away from the outside of it that if a giant wall of water were to hit the fort, it would split up and the energy from the wave wouldn't actually end up hitting the structures.
Why would they be thinking about that?
A lot of those star forts, I want to say they have like 6 to 8 foot thick brick walls.
Right.
Would they be thinking about a giant wave coming to hit them?
Exactly. I've had to ask myself that exact same question.
Like, why would that be a thought unless they witnessed something like that? You know what I mean?
Right. Because it's literally designed. It's designed to dissipate a wall of wave.
Like, that's interesting. I've never heard that perspective. But they are often surrounded by water or on the coast. So
yeah, I saw someone like in the late 2000 teens. Someone did a recreation video of that, like on a small scale, where they were creating.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard that.
Creating waves. Yeah, they were creating waves, and they had little mini star forts in the water. And every time the water would hit it, it would like, I don't know how to explain it. It would just like the water wouldn't hit the structure. It would just completely break apart.
Would it break apart the entire wave?
Yeah, from the structure. It wouldn't hit anything inside of the structure. It would literally like split the wave.
No,
the
wave would
it
just dissipate the wave somehow so it wouldn't hit the island?
Oh, just in that area.
Oh, okay.
Just where the star fort is. It would keep going around it.
Yeah,
interesting. It was really wild. I don't know where I saw it, but yeah. So that's a thing.
We'll have to dig that up. Hey, do you want to watch a video about a old world building in NYC?
Let's do it.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I hope you guys would say yes.
Like,
I thought you were. Are you waiting for an answer? Yeah. Show us.
Yeah.
Since I'm here, the Manhattan Municipal Building, one of my favorites. Brooklyn Bridge right there. Immigrant Industrial Savings Bank. You don't understand the size of this thing. Behind City Hall, another thing that doesn't make any sense, the size of those doors. Look at this thing, 1912. Does that make sense to anyone? What was that, Christopher Columbus? Again, with the indention, with all those green windows. I don't know if you can see up there. Is that an eagle? A griffin, whatever those things are called. Make it make sense. Look at that up there. Come on, man. 1912? 1910? What is that up there? Another one. 1912. Make it make sense. Does this make sense to anyone? Does this make sense to anyone? Does this really make sense to anyone who has pilgrims? The Manhattan Municipal Building right here. City Hall, the back entrance right here. Make it make sense.
watching that and hearing that, and after hearing Brian talk about it, that's one thing we didn't talk about, JT, when you were here, is that all of the doors also were huge here. We've got pictures of you by them. So the doors at the building in Prescott, and then also the doors even of the building downtown. They're huge.
Yeah, that's right. We were in downtown Phoenix, and we saw something very similar to that. Phoenix City Hall.
It was one of the courthouses. Yeah, City Hall.
Look at that architecture on there too. It's just like the design, like when you're in, it's everywhere. Like every old world building has this weird, ominous eagles and gods all over it. And you're like, what is the point of the eagles / griffin or / phoenix / gods all over the place, and all the doors?
Doors are ornate too.
Yes. Oh yeah, look, there you go. There's an eagle. It's a phoenix.
A phoenix, I think. Yeah, Phoenix.
Well, the eagle and the phoenix is interchangeable, I've realized now at this point. And like they're all the same. And it's like, though, those are phoenixes too, right? Look at the fire under its
those
tails.
Are eagles, I think.
No, but look, there's like fire by its tail. They're interchangeable. The eagle and the phoenix is interchangeable, I've realized at this point.
I agree with that.
I think so. I think, they could be. And that's why originally I want to say that, I guess, national bird there was debate if it was going to be a phoenix or not. And when you see on the seal of America, it could either have been a eagle or a phoenix.
Yeah, why would it have been a phoenix unless it said we rose from the ashes of the destruction of something? Let me tell you what,
right.
It's called Jesus came back already, okay? That's the destruction we're rising from, it's saying. But
well, it makes perfect sense in that part of the West.
Mm-hmm.
That it does seem like so many things are scorched. It actually makes perfect sense in a place like Arizona that this new city rose from the ashes.
Yeah. Dude, and when you're in New York, everywhere you look is these ominous statues. And they all say, to those that gave their lives, like written somewhere on the statue. It'll be like, for those lives that were lost. It's like, for the lives that fought in the war. And it's like, what is this? Everything's a freaking human sacrifice effigy. All of them. All of it. Everywhere you look, the statues all are, and they're everywhere. People are walking by like it's normal. And I'm just like, what? Like, I'm like looking at these statues and people are just like, everybody's just like, oh yeah, it's decoration. I'm like, does that seem weird to you? And people are just like, think it's normal. Like, it's crazy.
Did you get a chance to see that one cathedral that has like the apocalyptic pillars?
I was gonna go see it, and it has the Twin Towers supposedly burning.
It's got tsunamis like engraved into it. Like,
I forgot.
Which one is that? Do you know what that's called? Because I'll look that up now.
I don't remember the name of it, but it shouldn't be too hard to find if you type in those keywords.
Saint something Bilica, I think it is.
Those were evidently carved in the early 1900s.
Yeah. And so, dude, it's everywhere. And like, dude, I walked by, what was it called? Okay, so the place that John Lennon got killed in front of, do you know what that is? The Dakota building. Have you heard of that? It's this famous building that a bunch of celebrities like live in, and it's like, apparently John Lennon got killed there. I just walked by the building and I was like, dude, something's not right here. And I'm like staring at the building, and some person came by with a camera and started taking photos of it. And I was like, what's this building right here? And they were like, oh, it's the Dakota building. Is there something with this? Like, why are you taking photos? Is it like famous for something? They're like, oh yeah, it's where John Lennon was killed. And I'm like, oh, that's why it felt incredibly demonic. Like, I was just like,
yeah,
I was like,
dude,
oh, that makes sense.
That
makes sense. Because I was like, this is so evil feeling just standing next to it. And like, I was like, oh, I'm like, it feels really demonic. And the person was like, you can tell that it's demonic. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, it feels really demonic. I mean, it makes sense now that you said that it, like, I think I said, what's this demonic building? I think is my response to him. I'm like, what's this demonic building about? And they're like, they didn't tell me. They tell me that he got killed. And they were like, so wait, you knew it was evil? I was like, somehow, like, there's something there.
Lucky guess.
Yeah.
Hey, check it out. I found this thing. It's called the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. So you scroll down here.
Ooh, there we go. That's interesting.
Look at that thing.
Dude, the size of these buildings, man, like just in the middle of nowhere. Look at that. What is that?
That's not a construction picture. I don't care what anyone says. That's That's a picture of something that's been destroyed.
What is that? What are they doing there? Why? Why is that on its side?
See what they're trying to say, bringing columns into the future nave of the church in 1904. No, that is them trying to rebuild something that was destroyed.
Dude, look at it's just destruction everywhere too. That right there, I saw that. Let me see that one. Dude, that's crazy. It's so crazy.
Right there.
It is so massive compared to all the buildings around. Dude, it's so freaking massive. Look, what is that?
Is that head?
Yeah, see, those are some of the pillars, and they're built on like humans are holding them up.
Wait, this is I did see this one. I guess I just didn't look for the. Oh yeah, there's the towers.
Here's the towers right here.
Look at a plume of smoke and a tsunami destroying it.
That's really weird. It's really weird. Yeah, so it says, befitting John's authorship of the Book of Revelation, a grim depiction of the apocalypse, and carved well before the events of 9/11.
There's underground buildings in them too, like directly underneath
the bridge.
Each one of them. Look at that. There's bridges, like trolleys, cars. There's vehicles in them.
That had to have been added afterwards. Look at that. Let's scroll up. There's no freaking way they have the Statue of Liberty in the bridge.
So they were added after the original building, but they were added. I think they were added quite a long time ago.
You'll have to look that up. Look at that sacred geometry there.
That's like a double helix or something there, maybe. Oh, that's
what?
Cabbage Patch Kids coming out of.
Dude,
what is that?
What the heck is that?
That is disturbing. What is that? What is that?
Yeah, that's really weird.
The baby cresting out of a freaking corn cob.
What the freaking heck is that?
Look at that, where there was an original door there. Yeah. And look at them trying to put a regular human-sized door inside of it.
Not a Nephilim door, guys. Don't worry about it. They're just normal doors.
Dude, that is massive.
It's crazy.
Dude, those pillars.
That was not built for regular-sized people. I don't care what anyone says. No, there would have been no need.
Yeah, that's epic. Definitely epic. But kind of like what you saw in that one video that we showed was that you look this way, here's an old world building. You look this way, here's an old world building. You look this way, here's an old world building. That's what I'm saying. In parts of New York, it's nothing but old world buildings. And you compare it with the modern buildings they build that are all glass and steel.
Yeah, fall apart.
They got no personality. There's nothing special about them. You've seen one, you've seen every one of them. Even the One World Trade Center that Brian, I guess you went to the base of that. Yeah, it's nothing really impressive just to see it. I mean, it's tall. I mean, I guess that's something, but I remember when I first went, and I remember distinctly that we were going down to Uptown, and that's where, the Wall Street district is. And I remember just like looking at a building, just it's almost kind of a plain building, but it was the American Express building. And I remember just thinking to myself, well, that old building looks more impressive than any new building that they've built.
Yeah, so many of the buildings are just like kind of ridiculous when you look into it. It's just like they're not what they are. They're not what they say they are. They all look like art effigies. Like, across from that church we were just looking at is a giant statue of Atlas holding up the world facing the church now. It's like opposing the church in a way. And you're like, this is so like it's like they do it on purpose. And all these people are walking in between these statues of these gods and these statues everywhere you look. And they think it's normal. They think it's freaking normal. I'm like, dude, this is insane. It's everywhere. Like to the point where it's like, I couldn't even say anything. By the way, Aaron, I got kicked out of the World Trade Center.
How? Why?
I got kicked out of the World Trade Center. I did. Like,
what happened? Story time. Hashtag story time.
I don't know, JD, you gotta play. Maybe you should play the video of what I first did that I didn't get kicked out of. I didn't get kicked out for this, but I got kicked out for something else because I walked by a tourist guide, this normal tourist guide. He was just giving a tour, and he's like and he was boring, and he was like, "Yeah, so the fire when it hit the planes was so hot it must have instantly cooked all the people above, and it like went up like a plume, and it made it to where they just couldn't escape, and it was like they were trapped. And then there's an explosion, and he was like talking like that, really like slow, and like,
dude, that would have driven me insane.
and I was listening to him talk to these like 10, 15 people or whatever, and I was like, I waited for him to take a breath, and I was like, you really believe that? And I was just walking by, right? And he was like, is this your effing tour or mine? And he went from like 0 to like 100. And I was like, I mean, it's your tour. I just think it's pretty absurd. I was just asking you a question if you actually believed what you are saying, because you just aren't saying it with any kind of energy. You look like you don't even believe it. He's like, mother effer.
Gee,
I can't believe you weren't
couldn't
arrested.
imagine why you might have got it kicked out.
I can't believe you weren't arrested and taken to a torture chamber of some sort.
Taken to the tunnels under New York City.
Oh, man.
Dude, like the fact that that's crazy.
But I didn't even get in trouble for that. Like, I shouted that, and the whole store, like all the people like turned around and were like looking at me. One guy was like walking down the stairs with his children, and he was like, he walked down backwards staring at me the whole way. He was like so freaked out.
Covering their ears.
Yeah, it was so funny. And I was just like, guys, you're in a human sacrifice ritual. And they turned that spot. By the way, that's the eye. That's the Oculus.
Let's watch a video about that so people have some context of the place you were shouting.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
These very, very offensive anti-Semitic slurs.
And the whole bottom of it is a shopping center now, though. It's like a complete shopping center. It feels so desecrating. Like, it's like, we killed a bunch of people, and here's our little eyeball, and here's our shopping center now that we've replaced all the dead people with. Like, replaced it with shopping. And like, dude.
Come get yourself a keychain.
Dude, it's so, oh my gosh, it's so disturbing being there. Like,
Okay.
I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, like just being there.
Okay, check this out.
Did you know that just 2 years before 9/11, the New York Transit Authority completed a massive art installation called Oculus in the World Trade Center subway station? It consisted of 301 individual eye mosaics based on photos they took of New York City school children.
The MTA's Arts for Transit's latest program here at the Park Place Station involves the installation of over 300 thought-provoking eyes and a central mosaic, and they call it Oculus.
To generate the eyes, we photographed over 1,200 New York City school kids.
Asking them to look into the depths of time, to look into infinity.
Like imagining them as if they were a deity.
Just for an instant, show me the goddess in you. Show me the divinity. You know, just show me the intelligence in your mind. There's a clarity of your mind. Just open your eye.
Which is composed of more than 1,800,000 tesserae. Every single one of those 1,800,000 is cut on 4 sides by hand. I mean, so it's a huge amount of labor that has been involved in this entire project.
And to make it all happen, 5 years of planning and thought came together in the city of Rome.
You know, let's do something that there's no question that it'll be around for the rest of time.
The central work is located in the Park Place Station under Church Street. It emanates from an eye concept surrounded by a map of the world superimposed over a map of the city of New York.
Although some parts of it were damaged and much of the subway system near Ground Zero was flooded, most of Oculus survived. The large central piece at the Park Place station is still there today. Isn't it interesting that the new $4 billion transportation hub that was opened at the World Trade Center site is also called Oculus? The architect says it's supposed to symbolize hands releasing a dove, but it clearly looks like a giant eye with huge lashes. It's designed so that it's in alignment with the sun's solar angles on each September 11th, between 8:46 and 10:28 a.m., which is the time between the first plane hitting and the second tower falling. The central skylight perfectly fits this alignment and washes the Oculus floor with a beam of light.
Nothing occultic or weird about that.
No, not at all. Especially not the part where they designed it all in Rome.
Yeah, the city of Rome.
What did they mean by that? I was kind of thinking that too. That they designed that all in the city of Rome.
I mean, I think they're telling on themselves. They're telling us where the idea originated, where it came from, and why school children. Some of those eyes looked terrified.
It's a really weird thing to tell children.
Yes.
Show me the goddess in you. Look into infinity or something like that, and the kids would be like,
and they're all about,
I really don't know. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I'm not sure what you want. So you can imagine how uncomfortable they would have been during that photo shoot.
And they're all about harnessing energy. So if the spiritual weight that a picture of one of those eyes carry, if they took it right before they were about to do something awful, or right as they that kid was witnessing something awful happening to another kid, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that they do.
That's what I think
they're
was
not
done.
going to.
Well, it's all about children and innocence, right? And it talks about Jesus saying that if you cause one of these little ones to stumble, it'd be worse if you were never born. And it does seem like that's what the enemy would do. It'd be do things to try to hurt God. Oh, that's so wicked. But yeah, the idea that was hands releasing a dove is just the most absurd idea, because that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like an eyeball with huge eyelashes. Isn't it kind of like, isn't the Eye of Horus kind of has a little lash effect on it too? Because of the weird kind of, you know what I mean?
So creepy, dude. Everything about that's creepy. Like I feel like I need to get a shower and a bath now.
That eye, when I think about the children and those mosaics and their eyes, like I just, I know what kind of wicked stuff they're up to, and it bothers my soul. Like people have no clue. They're very naive. They're very naive to what's actually going on. It's like all these people are like walking around.
Anyways, let's switch gears. So what's really interesting lately is that the UFO, UAP, alien phenomenon is back in the news.
Oh, gosh.
It's because a representative from Florida was on there discussing these unexplainable, physics-defying crafts. Check this out.
The video that was just played at our last hearing that we did, it was on the Hellfire missile being deflected by one of these UAPs. That specifically, I think, should, for national security reasons, have everyone questioning what we were really being told about these things.
This guy?
Yeah. Yep. Deflect. Yeah. So that footage, the fact that it was dead dropped to Burleson, I'm certain that there's more of where that comes from, and we are going to push for the declassification of stuff that we've seen, because I think the American people deserve to see it. But I think, you're never going to have the U.S. government admit or try to explain something if it's also somewhat not specifically pertaining to national defense. So if it's not tech that we've made, not involving a foreign government, I think that you're going to see a direct statement from that. What's interesting, and I kind of went into this with Joe Rogan, is when we were talking to some of the witnesses, they don't call them extraterrestrial. They call them interdimensional. There's also this aspect of these things defying physics as we know it. And then you look into texts that were removed from the Bible, like the Book of Enoch, that actually specifically address technologies, if you will, that were given to mankind or of entities not of human origin, non-human intelligence. So these are all things to consider when addressing the topic. But based on what I've seen, not speculating, based on the evidence that I've seen, there's something out there. And based on what I'm saying is it's not. I think that it's along the lines of that video that you just saw.
Have they shown you? Okay, so
I have to be careful, because I could get in trouble if I divulge what I've been shown in a skiff. So what I can tell you is I'm just telling you, as me not specifically addressing skiff stuff, that they're real. And I'm not the only one. You just saw the Secretary of State in a documentary addressing the same thing.
She is dumb. Get in trouble and tell us, lady. You piss me off. It's stupid.
Like, nobody's
it's all
denying they're real.
Yeah.
We've been talking about how they're real for forever.
Yes. Well, there's stuff I can't tell you because I'm going to get in trouble by the government. Yeah, what's going to happen to you? Oh, it's been on the news. She was arrested because she spoke about the information that she told.
What she was saying was the skiff stuff is top secret.
Who cares? What are you actually going to see this woman getting arrested? You think there's going to be a news article? This woman arrested because she divulged top secret information on the... When does that happen? Talk about it, people. Open your mouth and talk about it, because all this secret nonsense is stupid at this point. I don't know. Sorry. I'm getting irritated with it.
You're going to start screaming anti-Semitic obscenities here in a minute.
I'm fiery. I'm passionate right now. I'm so irritated with this.
Aaron, what say you?
I mean, Brian's not wrong. We keep hearing the same garbage from everybody. Like, they confirm just a little bit.
It's a horse and carrot.
It's never a lot, and it's always the same thing. I can't divulge anymore because like everybody doesn't want to lose their access. They don't want to lose their privilege that they're being shown all of these things, or they're just not being shown anything above and beyond what they're saying. But I think it's more that I just think that everybody that has access to a skiff, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that everybody that has access to a skiff is on the payroll. They're controlled.
Yeah. Horse and
they're
carrot.
not going to say anything. They're literally not going to say anything that's valuable to us whatsoever.
Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, if I ever get a chance to find out information, I'm going to find out all of it.
Brian, you're not getting top secret.
I'm going to.
clearance,
Watch
Denny.
me. You watch me. I'm going to find out.
This podcast right here is going to guarantee you never get skiff access.
I'm going to get all the information. I'm going to be like, yes, I'm under secret oath. And then I'm just going to like
vote for Brian 2028.
Yes. I'm going to tell everybody everything.
But hold on, though. Like, real talk. Do you guys remember how Joe Rogan used to talk? Because he used to talk that same way. He used to say the same thing you're saying. And then there was an interview with him where he literally was talking to, I don't remember who it was, but it was someone that obviously had power and influence. And he looks at the guy and he goes, tell me. He's like, tell me the truth about aliens. He's like, I'm telling you right now. He's like, you tell me the truth about aliens. He's like, I will lie through my teeth to everybody. He's like, I'll say whatever you guys want me to say. Just show me the truth. And everything changed after that. He changed completely after that. That's when all the narrative started to shift.
And that's when he started to maybe consider that moon landing might have been real.
Dude, like, come on, man.
Rogan kind of made his bones clowning on the moon landing.
Exactly.
Right now, he'd have like Neil deGrasse Tyson on say, well, I was a little hasty before. Now I'm not sure. No, but what I really want to address in that video is specifically that she says that this might relate to interdimensional beings that come from texts removed from the Bible, like the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, she's literally calling them the fallen angels. She's making a direct reference to the fallen angels.
Well, I think to me, it's like it reminds me of Tucker coming out. Was it last year or a year and a half ago? And he was making the rounds and he was saying very similar things. It was almost like, this is too much. This is too on the nose for guys like us, because that's what we'll say. It's almost like that. This seems like they're trying to maybe get in front of stuff, or they're really trying to propagate it to people like us, people like on our podcast, to say that would be our view. So yeah, the real question is, why would they say that?
I think, to me personally, I think it's because it's clear the timeline is speeding up, and I think we're getting close to a time where the fallen angels, or the Anunnaki, if you will, are going to present themselves. I think they want to be worshipped again. That's what I think. I think that we're getting really close to a time where they're going to reveal themselves again, and they want that kind of power, and they're prefacing all of that stuff with a little bit of the truth here and there. So that way, when it does get revealed and it does get shown to people, there can be a few traces of, we told you guys.
What do you think, Brian? Why do you think she's specifically bringing up like kind of the red meat for the Ancient Angels podcasters?
You know, I think after going to New York, the gods are already here and they're already being worshipped. They're embodying people that are the elite in control. And that's it. They don't have a body anymore, and they're never going to get a body back, I don't think, unless we give them AI bodies, which is what I think they're working towards. I think they're trying to create AI systems to give them.
They definitely are.
And a system to have a body, because they don't got physical bodies anymore. All they've got is the possession of humans, and that's it.
They show that in the Neutron.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
In the Neutron,
they literally give physical bodies. It was entertaining, but they literally give exactly what Brian said. They literally give physical bodies to these digital creations, which many would argue that AI obviously is demonic. They're demons, but they're able to literally print physical bodies for them to harness and to live. Yeah, to live in here in our realm.
Okay, see, that's what I think that's what's happening. I think they're doing that. They're trying to set up for a system like that, but I think they're just trying to get back in control of being worshipped. Like when I was in New York and I saw these statues, like people were huddled around the statues like, oh, and they're just like looking and taking photos and staring at them and touching them. I literally turned to somebody, I was like, how is this any different than people back in the day worshiping the old gods? And the person was like, that's a really good point. I was like, right? I was like, how is this any different? I was like, do you think this is any different than what the Romans did when they were worshiping the gods?
I actually think it is. I think that is might be where we're heading, though, because as I mentioned, that in a lot of these mythologies, that these gods would be immortal if people remembered them, and then people continue to worship them. But maybe it's not enough for them to subtly put them in the culture. Maybe at some point they need to be actually like really revered. Because if that's the way that they'd be presenting it, as these beings that were once depicted as gods to the ancients were actually aliens, and then they have all these kinds of technology, spacecrafts or whatever. Yeah, like kind of like that stuff from the Zachariah Stitchin mythologies about the Anunnaki, that it's misunderstood by primitive people that they were gods, but no, actually, they were really advanced ETs.
Well, there's more to that because they were actually, here's the thing. It's like the Wizard of Oz, okay? The little man behind the green curtain, right? And so when you see the little man behind the green curtain, a lot of these gods, when you hear the old stories of like how the gods were operated, there was people inside of them that were making voices through them in some of the situations. There's like chambers we found. So it was like a lot of these old gods that were the gods that people were worshiping were actually putting on acts. They were acts a lot of times where the humans were doing things to make it seem like the gods were real in some capacity. So
right, like the priests in the royal class would always claim to have a closer connection with them.
Yes.
And therefore it was a control mechanism.
Yeah, and but
that we speak directly to your gods. And so if the gods didn't speak openly to the people, we would show them their gods.
Yeah, but the gods themselves, like the statues, they would like hollow them out in some instances and like have secret ways to get inside of them. And you're like, why would there be a person inside of the god statue unless the statue was supposed to represent something speaking through it? You know what I mean? Like there was a voice.
Well, they even had what in the cult of like Apollo and some of those, they had the brazen bull.
Yeah.
Where they would torture people in those. They'd put them inside these, I guess, brass bulls or something like that, and burn them inside of them
and cook them.
And then when the people were burning inside them, it would almost make like a bull noise.
Yeah, the screaming. Yeah, and so
that
like
you guys, wicked.
So there was, but like the idea was like they wanted people to believe that these things were real. So the people, the ones in control that controlled the temples, gave effigies life, like by fictitious things, like the little green man behind the curtain, made it seem like these gods were still alive and real. Maybe that's what they were ever since they lost their body. It's just been people possessed by their spirit, pretending to say that these gods are alive forever and ever and ever. And then a lot of that got lost and washed away. And now they're coming back to the state where they're being told that they're alive, and they're gearing up to be worshipped again like they were alive again. And the best way they can do it is by giving them AI bodies, because then they can be alive again in a sense.
Have you guys seen the video footage of that EDM festival?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I think we played a few of those on the podcast.
The one where they're literally sitting in thrones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's I want to say that one was somewhere in Northern Europe, and yeah, they look like these giant Aztec-looking gods, and totally, they got like dragon feet and everything.
Here we go. Weekend warriors, welcome home.
Yeah, dude.
Totally wicked
that was like some Aaron at the bottom of Mount Sinai business right there, dude. Like,
people
like,
think
that's like, I imagine that's what was going on, dude, when Moses came.
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like that. I think that is kind of takes me back to the Book of Numbers when the Israelites went to this giant kind of like probably sex festival to Baal of Peor, and they didn't
It's like
really
Burning
worry.
Man.
It's like they didn't really recognize that they were worshiping Baal by taking part in it. But of course, they did know they were openly sinning. So of course, they were held accountable for what they were doing there.
They were just
And
having
I
an
think,
EDM
that
party.
makes perfect sense in today's day that you have these just dens of iniquity, just drugs and just immorality, and then that's what you end up taking part
Dude,
in.
the people that make some of the modern day EDM music, like the people pulling the strings behind the musicians, they know exactly what they're doing. Like, I've seen people that weren't on any drugs whatsoever go onto one of these shows, and just because of the way that the frequencies and the bass is being harnessed, like when they do the drops and they do the different transitions and the way that they like do backbeats, and just there's very specific techniques that they use. These people literally become possessed. They're not just dancing. They're not just like grooving to the beat. Like, they're being controlled by something. I remember at one point in time standing back and just watching some of these people in the crowd. And I knew a couple of the people there, and I knew they weren't on anything. And I was watching the way their bodies were moving, and I'm just like, dude, that's not normal. Like, I can't be here anymore. Like, I can't ever be involved in one of these ever again. There's many facets to all of this. There's many, but I think Brian is very, very accurate in the sense that their bodies are long gone, and they're being kept alive by these rituals. And, you know, their spirits obviously live on, but that's what we're working towards with all of this AI stuff. And I actually wouldn't doubt at all that they can already make synthetic bodies or sleeves, if you want to call them that, for these things.
Like in Marvel, where you have like Ultron, right? And then you have Vision. You know, they made synthetic robotic bodies for these gods.
It's gonna come out in the public eye, though. It's gonna, like, I think that's all. It's not that doesn't exist yet. It's that they're having to walk humanity through the disclosure process of accepting it in our reality, to where we know that that's what it is, and they can walk amongst us and we'll accept it. Because we are at that point now where people are like, bring it on. You know, we want it. Like,
yeah,
See,
for sure.
I'm a little bit more skeptical. I think they might have those bodies, but the normal technology of humans doesn't have access to them. And it's like something only kept on their alien spacecrafts that aren't really alien spacecrafts. And they're making those synthetic bodies genetically by hybridizing animals, humans, and hybrids, which I've talked about this. But I don't think it's like something that the general population of humanity even has access to or can make yet. I don't think. But also, secondarily, I know somebody that was a stage. I know a lot of stage people because I used to be a performer. Like, I used to do like martial arts, lightsabering, and dancing with people on stages. And the people, some of the DJs and stuff, like, I know someone that was telling me about, they set up crystals underneath the stage and they wired them all together with like copper wires, like before they would do their sets always. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean you like, yeah, they set up crystals on like copper poles or something and then connected them all with copper wires before they did their sets. And then they would collect the crystals afterwards. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, that's so nuts sounding. Like,
literally energy harvesting.
Yeah, bro. And it's like, dude, they're straight up doing this like at EDM festivals and all these festivals that you go to. And you have no clue that that's what's actually like going on behind the scenes. Like, it's just
Do you
crazy.
realize what they're taking those crystals to go do afterwards?
I don't even know. I didn't even ask.
I mean, imagine. Just think about it.
Nothing-
Think what they
nothing
do.
good.
No,
Nothing
nothing
good.
good. Nothing good.
All right, let's watch a video about angels, shall we?
Go for it.
Yeah, let's lighten the mood.
There are only 2 holy angels mentioned in my Bible, but in a Catholic Bible, they can actually name 3, which is curious because they mention this angel named Raphael, who claims that there are a total of 7 holy angels. So I pulled out my study tool because the question is, who even is Raphael? And according to Haven, This all comes from a book named The Book of Tobit, which a humble Protestant like me has never seen before. This story is about a man named Tobit. He ends up going blind because, I kid you not, a bird poops in his eye. Naturally, this made him very depressed, so he asks God to just take his life. But there was a problem. Tobit remembers that he had left money in this place called Media, and since he's blind, he has to send his son, Tobias, to go and get it. Of course, God sees this and sends an angel to go and help him out. Raphael is told to go with Tobias on his long journey there, except Raphael is an angel, but Tobias doesn't know this. So eventually, when they find this fish, Tobias is strangely told to cut out its heart, liver, and gallbladder. Apparently, this would be used for the deliverance of his father, but also a woman. See, this woman was named Sarah. She had 7 husbands, all pass away because of this demon named Asmodeus. Yet Tobias is told to marry this woman anyways, because he has the power to do an exorcism with these fish organs. He gets rid of this demon by burning the fish organs on some hot coals. He then marries Sarah and retrieves his father's money. And once he returns home, he even heals his father's blindness with the fish's gallbladder, until in an instant, Raphael reveals who he truly is, scaring the crap out of everybody in that room. But this is where it gets super interesting, because apparently, according to Raphael, he is one out of 7 holy angels, yet I've only heard of 2, Michael and Gabriel. So now the question is, who are these 4 lost angels?
You forgot Donatello and Leonardo.
Donatello.
Well, you can read the Book of Enoch, and they tell you all 7 of those.
Yeah, Uriel,
He
Azrael.
lost me at my study tool named Haven. That was literally an AI program.
Bro, why does everybody keep using that Haven thing? Like, they're like really pushing people to pay. I'm like, Christian influencers, stop it. Stop it.
Brian, I know you and I talked about it before, and I want to say the Book of Tobit is in the Septuagint. So likely a legit book. That's pretty weird that there's some kind of casting out of demons involving a fish gallbladder.
Fish guts.
Fish guts.
Yeah, so I mean, like the way demons, yeah, because the demon Asmodeus hated the smell of the fish guts. It's like, which is kind of comical.
That's weird.
Really. Yeah, yeah. So it's really comical, but like honestly, like demons are very particular. I've learned that they do tend to have like preferences. So I don't know if it was like a sacrifice or if it was like give the demon what it wants and then it will go, or I don't know. Like it just seems
Doesn't
really
Solomon
weird.
break that down about like what they all hate and what they all love?
Well, in the lower keys of Solomon, Solomon does ask what they have to submit to. So typically that a demon was bound to a star or an angel. So likely their fathers.
Yeah.
And then so they had to submit based on the hierarchy of the heavenly host. But I don't remember them ever saying anything specifically about any kind of a I don't know, any kind of a physical fleshly thing they had to submit to, but it was more about that probably in the way that probably would have been understood in that book would have been the angels' names are sigils, right? So if you had the sigil of this name of this angel, you could control this certain demon based on the name of its father.
I was just saying boiling fish guts feels more like a sacrifice, like an offering than anything.
Yeah, so what they're talking about in the Book of Tobit is actually a form of witchcraft, and it's actually still practiced today, and in Haiti and many other countries around the world. They still practice this type of exchange, demonic exchange offering. And so you still see it in things, little things like people burn sage. That's one of the practices of demonic transference. And so burning sage is akin to the fish guts in this thing, but it's a common one that everybody stupidly does and they don't know what they're doing. But the way demons function back in the day is you had to give the demon what it wanted. Like there was an herb that demons like or that they desire. There's like plants, there's like certain guts, certain animals, blood. They want blood. Like even today, you go to a witch in like Mexico. Excuse me, you can go to like a witch in Mexico, and the witches in Mexico will cut a chicken, pour its blood on your head, do some little ritual voodoo dance stuff that, you know, there's a bunch of stuff names for it. But anyways, like they'll do this type of practice. And then the disease or the sickness that you have will leave you. It'll actually leave you. And then you have to eat the chicken's liver and like weird stuff like this. And then the disease will leave the person and they get cured. They actually get cured from this kind of stuff. But what you're doing is you're doing a ritual sacrifice exchange as an offering of blood or whatever. And then like having to do these type of like agreements for the demon. You're making an offering to a demon. And so this is how witchcraft works. And this is why Jesus said, if I cast out demons by the finger of God, you know that the kingdom of heaven is upon you, because he's casting them out with words. Whereas before, in order to get rid of a demon, you had to make its payment. You had to give it its desired will. You had to give it its thing to get its exchange to get the demon to leave. Whereas when Jesus showed up, he's like, demon out in my name. Boom. You know, it's just like, he's like, out. But if I cast out demons by the finger of God, I'm not sitting here doing some voodoo witch doctor nonsense. I'm ordering you to leave so you know the kingdom of God is at hand. He said, go ask your people, your exorcists who cast out demons. And so like they were like, oh, shoot, like he's doing it, but without doing all the witch stuff that we have to do. This is crazy.
It is interesting, though, that Jesus did use kind of some alternative means to heal people at times. What he took mud and he rubbed it in a blind guy's eyes. And he also did spit and put spit in a guy's eyes too. Jesus at one point took somebody with a withered hand and just reached out and just his hand like grew back. So why did Jesus use mud or spit?
I can give an answer to that, but you go to.
Yeah, I think it's so funny being called that. Anyways, I think it was to prove that he can heal with anything. I think it was a way of him proving like that he is God. Like I can even heal you with mud. Right?
I guess mud too would also make sense in the way that Adam was made of mud, made of clay, made of the dust of the ground. So using that to heal him. But then you even had in the Old Testament, part of some of the cleansing rituals, which of course is all in the news today, is burning a red heifer and taking ashes and mixing it with water and using a hyssop branch and using that to cleanse lepers.
Well,
so maybe there is a precedence for that in the Bible.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Jesus heals, you know, he's going to go to the centurion and the centurion says, just say the word and my servant will be healed. And Jesus is like, wow, not a single person in all of Judea have I seen with such great faith as yours.
All of Israel.
All of Israel, yeah. And he says, you know, have I not seen with such great faith as yours? And the dude's just like, he's like, whatever you say, it's done. He's healed. So like Jesus doesn't need to heal with mud. Jesus doesn't need to heal with these with dirt or with whatever other method he does. You know why he does it? He does it because your faith lacks. And humans need a they need something sometimes for their faith to be activated. They need a catalyst. They need like a recognizable catalytic event because their faith is so weak.
I've always found that fascinating too, because like in the story, like when he's staying with Levi and the people come and they lower their friend through the ceiling to get healed. So the first thing that he does, we've talked about this before, he forgives him of his sins.
Yeah.
That's how he heals him, because he's spiritually healing the guy. And then the priests say, what authority do you have?
Yeah, only
to
God
forgive him of his sins.
Can forgive sins.
Correct. And that's when he decides to physically heal the guy. He didn't need to physically heal the guy. He physically healed the guy to show them that he is God, that he has that authority. And so I just thought that was fascinating, because I'm always telling people that what we see is an illusion. You know, what we see with our eyes is just, it's all a fabrication. It's an illusion. It doesn't matter at all. And I feel like that, not just that story, but so many of his stories are proving that. He's trying to get people to see the kingdom of heaven and not the physical side of things. That's why he didn't immediately just physically heal the guy. He healed his heart and he healed his soul by forgiving him. And to Brian's point, that's when he physically healed the guy, because he needed to prove to these people that he had the authority to do that. But it wasn't until he did the physical healing that they believed it, because we have to, unfortunately, we're stupid and we have to see things with our eyes to believe it.
Well, right. There's also the story in the Book of Kings where was he a Babylonian or a Chaldean, I believe, or was he a Syrian? Naaman, and he went to visit Elisha, and he's got leprosy. And then he tells him to go dip in the Jordan River 7 times to be healed. So why did he have to do it 7 times? Of course, he actually doesn't want to do it because he's just like, why don't you just heal me now? But then his servant says, hey, that's not such a big deal. Why don't you just go do it? And then he goes and dips in the Jordan 7 times, and then he's healed of leprosy. So yeah, it's not like he needed to dip in a river 7 times, but it was, I guess, the act of faith to go do it.
It was an exercise of faith is exactly what it was.
Sometimes you need an act of faith.
And I agree with that. And I think that the number is arbitrary at that point, right? It wouldn't have mattered how many times. I mean, you can look at the Battle of Jericho as well, right? There's a lot of symbology.
7 times, 7 trumpets.
Right. So, and then the city falls, and one could argue frequency was a part of why all of that fell as well. But it's like, yeah, especially those stories in the Old Testament, that's the act of faith. That's the show of faith. And you also have to think about it from this perspective. It's like in the movie Interstellar, for instance. You haven't seen it yet, I don't think, but there's a scene where he I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's a scene where the 5th dimension is shown to him in 3D. Because there's no way for us to comprehend what the 5th dimension actually looks like. So, like, it has to be broken down in a way that it could be understood in the 3rd dimension. And so I think a lot of those things, you know, the ritualistic side of things, when they had to express their faith in the Old Testament, it's because Jesus hadn't come yet. They didn't really, I don't think anyone had comprehended the immediacy of calling upon God and him doing something immediately, if that makes any sense. There needed to be some show of faith to do it, and it had to make sense to the way that their logic worked at that point in time. And so that's why you would see some of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, the number 7 does pop up.
It's a point of faith. Like, you have to have the faith, like, in order to be healed. And I've prayed for.
Jesus does say that your faith has made you whole.
Yeah, he says by your faith, and that's why a lot of times people have to like do an act. Like I've prayed for people and people have gotten healed from like instantly. I've touched people and they've gotten healed. I've not touched people. I've just said a word and I've seen people get healed. I've literally, like, dude, one guy came into my shop and like knew what I did, and then like he recognized me. Would you pray for me? And I just looked at the guy. I didn't even say anything. I looked at the guy. He started shaking like, and he fell over. And like he had like some weird cyst thing on his side that like just dissipated within like a day. Like the next day it was gone.
Likewise,
I didn't even touch the dude.
I'm guessing you've encountered situations where you were trying to deliver someone of something and nothing you did worked because they lacked the faith.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
That's what most people see.
They were holding on to unrepentance. They were holding on to unforgiveness. They hadn't dealt with everything. That faith was lacking. So it didn't matter what you did at that point, what you said, what words you brought out, how much holy water you doused them in. Like they weren't being delivered.
It's sad. They don't have faith.
Yeah, it's definitely all about faith in God's power, not ours. All right, check this out. I got a pretty interesting video. I think Aaron might find this one interesting.
Have I got a conspiracy theory for you? When I was in middle school and high school, we loved Nickelback. Nickelback was cool. And then at some point in college, all of a sudden, apparently everyone hated Nickelback. It was like a running joke. And I remember always thinking that was strange. I didn't really understand why. I want to share with you what I think could be going on. So in 2014, which was around the time when I graduated high school, Nickelback released a single with Republic Records. It was called Edge of a Revolution. This would line up around the time when the public opinion on Nickelback was starting to change. They described this track as a departure from their original sound, and that it was inspired by current events such as the Euromaidan in Ukraine in 2014. We know a little bit about that, don't we? And how the government has been treating their citizens. A few years later, In 2017, Nickelback released Feed the Machine. Take a look at that. My conspiracy theory is that those people, groups, businesses, whatever, that dissent from the narrative or try to expose it are publicly shamed, and the public is called into hating them, that thing, that business, that ideology, whatever it is. So if Nickelback was trying to expose corruption or what they knew was coming, wouldn't it make sense if the powers that be got the whole country, at least, just to hate Nickelback for no good reason at all, in order to discredit them?
Look at this photograph. Is that the same people?
Look at this photograph.
Yeah.
Every time I see it makes me laugh.
There's two types of people. People who say they like Nickelback, and people who lie and say they don't like Nickelback.
Listen, okay, here's as a musician.
Wait, does Aaron like Nickelback? Is that what he's gonna like? He's like,
I want to hear. I want to hear.
Here's my. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's my stance on all of that. There are certain points in time where you can look at things and you can say, okay, that's not my cup of tea, but you can't say that they suck. They don't suck. Like, the dude knows how to write songs and he knows how to sing and they know how to make music. The dude's very talented.
Hey,
now, whether you like them or not. No, I honestly have never downloaded or had a single song or album in any of my playlists.
Not even
ever.
Photograph? Look at this photograph.
Not one single song. But again, the dude knows how to write a song. Like, he knows how to consistently write good music. And that theory, I had never thought about it that way. But if that was their plan, it backfired. Because the shaming went so hard and so extreme that it kind of made them bigger, if you ask me. They were pulled out of the limelight, though. They were absolutely, like, they stopped having music videos promoted. They stopped having songs pushed,
they were in
like, in the limelight.
all kinds of movies, like the soundtracks and things back in those days.
They started getting booed at festivals and having stuff thrown at them. Like, the public shaming became very real. But that dude's laughing all the way to the bank, man. That dude makes more money in 1 week from mechanical royalties than most of us will make in a lifetime still.
Dude. Yeah, I was just thinking, seeing that, it does make me think too, because I was of that age where, people weren't making fun of Nickelback when they were first making their first couple records.
Exactly.
They were everywhere, and I don't remember everyone saying they sucked then, but it did seem kind of inorganic, the hate they got at some point. And I remember just kind of thinking,
it's so extreme.
And I'm thinking, like, I don't know. I think that they're all right. Of course, from my perspective, especially, it was like the amount of like good rock bands were dwindling. So it's kind of like, we're going to throw these guys out. It's like, who's going to take their place?
Breaking
Who else
Benjamin
is out there? We'll put it this way.
The ones that took their
like
place.
Aaron said, that they might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it's at the same time, it was like, I don't know. I thought that they were still unique to who they were. And then some people were saying, like,
they suck.
Every one of their songs are the same. I was like, you could say that about a bunch of bands, but I wouldn't even say that's even accurate. I thought that they had a lot of different type of music.
I had no qualms with them. I honestly, like, I didn't understand why everybody made fun of them. When it started coming up in memes, I was like, what is this thing, this meme of like everybody hating Nickelback?
There's a lot of bands who really suck. Like, why were they the butt of everyone's joke?
No,
if it's
dude,
not because of what she said.
They had more singles than just about any rock band that's ever been out, and their singles were across the board too. Like, they had some hard rocking ones, and then I think one of the last singles they released was that one song where he's like, I loved you all along, I need you. That song was huge, dude.
I'm gonna get my lighter.
It was huge. But you can't say that that's a bad song. All you can really say is, like, you don't like Nickelback, or you don't like his voice. Like, his voice was too much for me, dude. Like, it was way too much for me. Like, I would.
How is Gwen Stefani's voice any different? Like, they're all too much. Everybody's
It's not. No, it's not. Like, this thing, like, so many of their voices are like, I can't do it, man. I can't. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Again, it doesn't mean that they're bad. The guy can sing. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not the kind of thing.
Are they good
like,
musicians, Aaron?
For sure. Yeah, that guy knows how to play. That guy knows how to play the guitar, and he knows how to write songs. And the musicianship is good. No one can argue that.
I wonder if he's like in his own bubble, or if he knows how much the world makes fun of Nickelback, or do you think?
Oh,
he,
I'm sure he was aware. I mean, 'cause
Chad,
like
the
you
lead
said,
singer, he knows, dude.
Like I said, they were everywhere, and then they weren't.
He even tried to rebrand himself. He cut his hair off. He did a JT. He pulled the
Okay.
JT and cut all his hair off and went short like that.
Wow.
I think it's absolutely conspiracy.
I agree. I agree. It's
They're
conspiracy.
still not selling out stadiums.
It's
I agree with
conspiracy
that.
for sure. It was, they probably didn't want to do the dirty that record labels were like, hey, you got to do the little, here's the little pee-pee magic. And he was like, I ain't going to do that, probably. That's probably what was happening.
Brian.
That's my guess.
You know, I was wondering this when we were talking about that a couple
Fine.
episodes ago.
Everyone
We
hates
were talking
Nickelback.
about, kind of through that Under the Silver Lake, where this famous writer writes so many of the hit songs. I was thinking this, and I've seen other people mention this. Aaron, but what about all the one-hit wonders? Were they one-hit wonders because they would not take the deal?
They wouldn't do the pee-pee magic.
So there's two reasons. I had to look it up really quick, by the way. And Feed the Machine was one of the last albums that they did. They did one album after that. So that was that theory would make even more sense with that. But I would say there's two reasons why bands don't make it after one-hit wonders, and more than likely, it's most often because they won't kiss the ring. They won't do what's required of them to continue going or to make it to the next level. Because even if they're not the best songwriters, the people in power that pull all of those strings, they don't care. They'll feed them with an endless amount of songs as long as they're willing to continue being puppets. But most of them won't do it. Most of those hip hop artists or rock artists, like, they're the real deal. Like, they don't play. And so they're not going to let anybody tell them what to do. They're not going to let anyone push them around. They get a little taste of that money, and then when they get approached with, hey, this is how this is going to work, most of them don't just get dropped. Most of them get signed into a contract where they literally can't make any more music as that artist name until they've done 3 or 4 albums. And then the label just puts them on a shelf and decides to do no more albums with them. So they can't get out of their contract until they've done
Deal with the devil.
Until they've done the second, third, and fourth album. So that means that they're locked up. They can't make anything ever again. They can't put any music out. It's in their contract. They're screwed. The other reason why most bands, and I would say this is a smaller reason, but it is absolutely a reason why most bands have one hit and then they don't have anything else. It's because we also give too much credit sometimes to the record labels. Sometimes the record labels get bamboozled also. And the way they get bamboozled is they sign on a band or an artist that's been making music for 5, 10, 6, 7 years, right? They've been making music. It's all they ever wanted to do. They write all these songs. They put out an album. They've got 2 or 3 amazing songs, maybe only one that's radio quality. They put out an album, and then the record label's like, all right, it's time to make another album. And then they're like, they don't know what to do because they just spent the last 10 years of their lives writing 10 songs,
Right.
11 songs.
If they went to the guy from the mythical guy from Under the Silver Lake, this dude could give him a hit song.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They can
he's got a
supply
catalog
them.
of hit songs, and he's like, "Do you want another hit? I've got."
No, they can supply them. Like I've written songs for other artists and for record labels. Like I've been paid to write music for other artists that don't know how to make music before. And I'm like I'm not even one of the big ones. So like there's so many people writing music for artists. So the main reason is, and in that scenario though, you've also got pride with some of those artists that are like, I'm not playing anyone else's music. I don't care what you bring me. I'm not playing anyone else's music. I'm only going to play my own music. And it's like, okay, well, but if you're not willing to write more songs, then we're going to give you songs because we own you now. And so they get into a deadlock where they're not able to make any more music. But I would say it's in the high 90th percentile that what it really is people aren't willing to be puppets. And you saw that with was it Nelly, the like R&B hip hop dude? He got big like in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
He put out some music. He got huge. He disappeared, completely
That's true.
disappeared.
Yeah, he did.
They tried
And
to
it was
Diddy him,
because,
probably.
well, so evidently his mom. This is the story he tells. His mom. He went home one day. That was back when all like the Dirty South stuff was all huge. He went home one day.
He was the St. Louis rapper, right?
Yeah. He went home one day and his mom was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He was raised around the gospel. He was raised around people that believed in Jesus, and she called him on his crap. He got convicted and he pulled out. And I don't think he ever did anything ever again. And maybe he tried to make a resurgence after that. But I mean, that's like one story of one person that kind of was able to pull out of it and still keep their life, you know?
Yeah,
But
maybe so. Because that guy was everywhere for a minute.
huge, dude. He was huge.
Everywhere.
So basically, come to the conclusion is that we need to bring back Nickelback because they're like our conspiracy band, and we need to just like rebrand. We'll rebrand them. We'll call them Nickel Front. Nickel
Yeah,
Front.
you know, no, Brian. I think
Silverback?
we need to work on that.
Silverback.
But yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Silverback. There
exactly.
you go.
Nickelback. If you guys want to expose what was done to you, you're welcome on the JT's mixtape.
Yep.
Anytime. All right, you know what? Let's switch gears. So it's really interesting. I know that when we were talking about the Super Bowl, we're talking about sports ball, and we're talking about how it's all rigged. Well, it turns out it's all rigged. Check this out.
A bombshell gambling case has just been exposed, and this included up to 4 NBA teams and 4 families of the mafia that netted millions of dollars. This included head coach Chauncey Billups, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, former NBA player Damon Jones, and what they did is insane. But first, this also included high-ranking members of the mafia, from the families of Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese. And as most of you know, a lot of the high-stakes gambling in the world, it's controlled by the mafia. Some of their texts have been leaked, you can look here down below, but they also had rigged poker games. They would lure in fish. They would tell them that they're going to play with former NBA players, and they would scam them for millions and millions of dollars. Court documents also reveal that Damon Jones, who was an unofficial assistant coach at the time, he had insider information on injuries, specifically on LeBron James. So when he had an injury, he would text the Betting Green group chat to bet against them before the information officially came out. And then we have Terry Rozier. He is a guard on the Miami Heat. He told people he was going to leave the game early with an injury, and 9 minutes into the game he left with that injury, and people made over $200,000 betting against him. There's a lot of information coming out on this case, so I'll be sure to keep you guys updated, but this is wild.
Everyone is completely shocked. But before you comment, I thought this was a really interesting follow-up. So this is kind of how this stuff can certainly happen. I don't know if it's necessarily organically, but this makes perfect sense on why this could be so rampant.
Back in my day, NFL player, right? And this happened. I'm not going to mention the names. More than once, but this happened. Bookmaker working with me, he comes to me, hey, this player from the Jets, he's into me really heavy. He owes me 50 grand. Okay, what do you want to do? Should I bring him to you? How should I collect? 50 grand? Let him get into you for 250 grand, 300 grand. What are you doing? You're writing an entry on a piece of paper. It's not costing you a penny. He's a bad gambler. Let him get into you heavy and then bring him to me. Boom. Before you know it, he's into me $250,000, $300,000, right? I bring him to me. Sit down. Hey, how you doing? Good. You owe me a lot of money. Oh, you didn't know it was me? Sorry, yeah, we don't always put that out there. But it's me. You owe me a lot of money. How you going to pay? You got to pay. You got to figure it out. I'll tell you what. You know what? I love your team. I like the way you play. I'm going to give you a break. You owe me $250,000, right? You don't have to pay me right away. You pay me 2% a week in cash. When do you get paid? Every Monday you be here with the cash. Don't miss. Don't miss. And I'll let you slide for a while. I don't care. That's fine with me. He wants to do anything to get out of the room. He leaves. What do we find out? We're tracking a guy. He goes to another bookmaker somewhere else, right? And he's trying to make up the loss by betting somewhere else. Well, we all know what's going on. So pretty soon, he can't even pay me the 2%. We call him back in the room. Hey, let me explain something to you, my friend. You don't get away with a gambling debt. You got to pay me. You got a rich uncle. You got a godfather. Who would it? Go rob a bank. I don't care what you do, but you're going to pay me. That's it. Oh, Michael, let me tell you that. For some reason, I got a soft spot with you. I don't know why. So here's what we're going to do. You're a good running back, right? Yeah. All right. First 3 times next game, you put the ball on the ground. What? You heard what I said. Put the ball on the ground. First 3 times. You're a wide receiver? Okay. Make sure that that ball doesn't go into your hands. That's it. You're a quarterback? First 3 times you get the ball, put it in the other team's hands. I'll worry about the rest. I'm getting an edge now. I know what to do. You're going to do this over a period of whatever amount of games I tell you, and that's how we're going to even up the score. And if you don't do it, you don't want to know what happens at that point. I think you understand where I'm coming from. That's it. Very powerful. That's how you get these players to work with you. NBA player, the same thing. I don't care what you do. Foul yourself out of the game. Do whatever. Referee, same thing. You make sure it goes my way.
That makes perfect sense of what happens. What's really interesting, if you guys are sports ball fans or if you guys ever used to be, I would encourage people. I think it's just interesting. I just think psychologically, Michael Jordan is a very, very interesting guy. If you've ever seen The Bulls' Last Dance that was on Netflix, well, one thing you see through that is Jordan was a gambling degenerate. Great basketball player, not the best gambler. But he got into it. I want to say there was a famous book called The Jordan Rolls, I think, he used to golf with this guy named Richard Esquinas. And Jordan used to lose to this guy all the time, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. But, Jordan gambled on everything. And if you watch The Bulls' Last Dance, he gambles on everything. And so all these guys who are on the team flights and everything, they're all playing cards. I think all these guys gamble. And the fact that you have gambling amongst the players and knowing they like that sport, I mean, you can only imagine when it comes down to betting on everything, including their own games. Obviously, there's a famous scandal with Pete Rose betting on the Reds when he was the coach. There's even it goes all the way back to, it goes at least back to the very, very famous Chicago Black Sox scandal with Shoeless Joe Jackson that supposedly they threw the World Series way back, I think, in the early 1900s. But yeah, just thinking about that, like that, if these guys like to gamble and something like that could happen is that they're betting on games and then they get into it with the mob and the mob says, all right, you owe me a favor now. And you're going to put the ball on the ground. You're going to put the ball in the other team's hands. That just seems
It's that simple.
It seems so easy.
It's that simple. And when it comes to college ball, I would imagine even in high school it takes place, honestly. High school, college ball, anything that can be gambled on. I'm sure all it takes is someone coming up to a college player and going, hey, I'll give you 50 grand. Just don't catch that ball, right? Or just make sure you guys lose. I don't care about how many points. Do whatever you got to do, whatever the case is. I mean, how many games have you seen where there's a team on fire, dude, and then like in the fourth quarter, they just play like trash. All of a sudden, dude can't catch a ball, can't throw a ball, can't make a layup. I mean, you pick it. It just, yeah, it doesn't take much, man. It takes a threat. It takes a bribe. It takes whatever the case. And it'd be foolish to think, but I think it goes even beyond sports, right? Like we see that everywhere. I would imagine, and it also comes back to control too. Like whatever you can control. There's people that gamble over everything. There's probably people that gamble over set lists of bands saying like, hey, I bet you they play such and such song within the first 5 songs. Okay, I'll take you on that bet. Calls his buddy or texts his buddy and says, hey, dude, play that single on number 4 or what. Like,
play Nickelback.
On... play that. Bring in Nickelback. Anything that can be gambled on, dude, will be gambled on.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I said. I said if honestly, if they wanted to clean up pro sports, you'd have to get rid of gambling. Because then if there was no gambling, then maybe you might have a somewhat legitimate product. But even when it came down to it, they were talking about that guy, I think it's Terry Rozier. Of course, you see, if you saw the highlights of them, him just flailing around, like throwing the ball to the other team. Because a lot of those really famous, like especially in college, I remember saying there were some very famous scandals in college where they were calling it point shaving. So point shaving is not necessarily them throwing the game, but it's like just trying to, let's just say the spread is 10 points. Well, then if you're up by 20 points at the end of the game, it's just like you turn the ball over a couple times, you miss a wide open layup, you do those kind of things where you could see somebody who's got loose morals could easily justify, it's like, who cares? We won anyways, and I got paid. And then, then you take it to like that's probably a more common thing, because the players that outright throw games, well, then if that gets out, well, then those guys are
Well, that's
done.
the thing, right? Because they don't just gamble on who wins; they gamble on by how much.
Well, they were showing that specifically that guy Terry Rozier would be that they have prop bets, and if you guys are not familiar, prop bets would be like that. Obviously, there's an overall bet on the game, but a prop bet would be like this one particular player. He's got an over under of like say the guy averages 8 points a game. His over under for this game is 9 points.
It's like
Well, this guy like turned the ball over like 3 times, and he got hurt, and then so he leaves the game, and he said that somebody made $250,000 or up to $50,000 were bet on him on the under.
Yeah, it's just like playing roulette, man. You can bet on red, you can bet on black, you can bet on a specific number, you can bet. There's just so many. If there is a way to bet, the more extreme the bet, they are betting on it because it's an addiction.
I'd say that, whoever is the coach needs to like just make sure that their team members aren't betting or gambling, and like keep them in check, and maybe have like access to all their phones or something. If I was like a coach and I was running a team, I'd be like,
nah, man, the coach is getting the biggest cut, dude.
Bro,
well, I mean, that's what they were saying. Like, I think
players.
some of these coaches, I mean, very famously, Pete Rose was the coach of the Reds, and he got banned. Pete Rose, if they said the top 5 hitters of all time, I would guess that most people would have Pete Rose in the top 5. Well, he obviously got banned from baseball, was not allowed to go into the Hall of Fame. And he was the coach
They
of
did
the
him
Reds.
dirty.
He was the coach of the Reds. I mean, so he claimed he never bet on his own team. But I mean, come on.
Dude, he
Or bet
took the
against
fall
his
for
own
someone too. Like, that there was a much bigger scandal there. I wonder what the real story is there.
yeah,
Well,
I've never watched sports, so I don't even know what you guys are talking about, honestly. But but I will tell you that I saw the comments of that video when the FBI dude came out, and he was like, we've stopped a betting ring, blah blah blah, and the comments were like, nobody cares, where's the Epstein files, like just like it was just like, who cares, congratulations, how about I even commented, I was like, oh, congratulations, you caught people that are betting with their own money. What about the women and children that have been trafficked against their will? I said, what about the bigger problem? I said, because people are betting with their own money. Who cares?
I won't necessarily disagree that yes, that's not the biggest issue, but I wouldn't say who cares, because when you're cheating people out of bets, it's like somebody's losing money on that bet too.
Yeah, but you're stupid for betting anyways. So what do you expect?
Well, the point is like you could say that I'm not justifying like the idea of the morality of betting, but I'm saying a lot of people care. I mean, I think a lot
Someone's
of people
getting their
care
knees
that,
busted.
I mean, as much money goes into pro sports, and I'm not saying that's a good thing. I know it's bred in circuses and all the like, but at the same time, that knowing that this is WWE and people are taking it seriously, I mean, maybe that's a good thing that people find out that that's what it is. It's fake.
Well, it's not fully fake. It's like,
No, I don't believe
fake.
I don't believe it's fully fake either. But I mean, I know it's very easy, and I'm sure a lot of people who watch pro sports, you can tell when the thumb's on the scales for who they want to win, who's the more desirable outcome to put Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and things like that. So I mean, I do think it's it does reach to the level of, yeah, I mean, I care a little bit. I mean, I've watched sports so long in my life and not so much lately, but for so many years I watched it, and yeah, it's just like this, people get so invested in this, and yeah, knowing that you got all these gambling degenerates involved in the sport, and the fact that, you know, just do a little history lesson and go look up the history of Las Vegas and the people who started that place, and then you got all the sports books and all that kind of stuff, that you'd be so naive to believe that these people do not influence the outcomes. I mean, it's really unbelievable. If you ever have been in like a office situation where you have like a betting pool where you bet, like you just pick the spreads each week. You know, like a lot of times in like the office, they'd print out the NFL Sunday, you know, lineup, and you just try to pick against the spreads. It is so difficult to just pick winners and losers in the NFL. But if you actually look at what the point spreads are, they are so close every week. It's like, I know these people are good, but I'm saying, is anybody really that good? Or
I've
is
always
it,
thought it
or is
was-
it because they know what the point spread's going to be because they've got a lock?
Well, I mean, that's what makes them pros, right? Not the fact that they're so good at what they do, but that they can act while doing it. They're so good at what they because that's the thing. They are good. They're phenomenal. They're so good that they can do exactly what they're told on live television. To
Right.
a T,
Well, yeah,
with
right.
precision.
You really think about it, as fast as everything's moving in these pro games, to be able to sell it, you know, because sometimes
to make
obviously
it
you see some of
look
those
like they really tried to catch it or really tried to throw it or
right. Well, you know,
what
like
I mean?
well, if you really think about it, that pro wrestling is fake, but the hits are real. I mean, like a lot of the hits are real, and if you're not good
Yeah.
at doing what they're doing, you would get so mangled if you didn't know what you
Yeah.
were doing. So to do that in the NFL and not get completely wiped out or hurt, or just embarrass yourself because you clearly fumbled on purpose or did something that gave the other team the game.
Well, and the
That's a skill.
variables too, right? Of like, it's absolutely a skill, and the variables of like not knowing, right? So like, is it a divisional thing? Like, is the whole division controlled? So like this team and this team, they both know what their roles are. Maybe now it's like that, but I'm sure once upon a time it was probably where one team didn't know that it was going to be thrown or that things were going to be weird, and the other team did. There's even more skill involved in that, right? When it's like, you know, you have to throw it or you've got to fake it, but the other team's not aware. There's so many variables. I don't know. I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but I've always felt, I mean, and as someone that played sports, like when I was younger, I've always felt like I've always loved playing them,
Mhm.
but I never have been a fan of getting excited about watching other grown men play a sport.
No, I've never.
Like, that's never.
I've
it's
never
never done.
What do you
it
mean?
for
How are you
me.
gonna get? Hey, I've never enjoyed watching other men in tights running around. I've never watched people put on another man's jersey and go, "Oh, is that your boyfriend?" That's what I've always wanted to say to them. I'm like,
Pro
"Oh, how
sports are fun.
cute."
Come on,
How cute.
watching sports is not bad. I mean, like Michael Jordan. I mean, I do find rare athletic talent interesting to watch.
I've never.
I will
I've
say
never.
that I feel like Jordan was like the last. I mean, and maybe this is just because it was my age and it was the '90s and there wasn't a whole lot else to do. But yeah, like watching the Bulls and the Phoenix Suns in the playoffs and
Yeah,
seeing Jordan
Barkley.
do some of those iconic. Yeah, dude. Like I'll admit, but like things haven't been like that for a very long
No,
time.
I agree.
In
I agree.
any
That's
sports
one
industry.
That's one reason I kind of got out of watching sports, because the quality has gone down, and it does feel like that the more, especially in the NFL, every year they add in new rules, and I think from my perspective, the new rules
They add
allow
new rules in the NFL.
Oh yeah, there's new rules like every year. They change the rules. I mean, the rules today versus like the '80s. Oh my gosh, it's a totally different game.
Are you serious?
But oh, absolutely, absolutely.
never
Well, I
knew
mean, you
that.
think about it. Like, I mean, if you watch the quarterbacks they always compare the stats of like the modern quarterbacks versus like the guys from like the early '90s and the '80s, and they say, look how much better these guys are. They used to let the defense destroy the quarterbacks back in the day, and they used to let them
Yeah.
destroy the receivers.
If you
Like
could
when
get
you
past the
like,
defensive line, dude, like you could kill them if you were
Yeah,
able.
they
you
would.
can't do that
They
anymore?
would. Oh no, they could. Everything's a penalty now, especially if it's Patrick Mahomes. Like if you touch the guy, it's a penalty.
Are you serious?
The whole point of saying that is just that when you have all these layers of new rules that are all judgment calls by the referees, where then they can obviously influence the outcomes so much easier than if it was just a kind of a free for all. But what I wanted to say this, and we'll let this topic go, I thought was really interesting. Do you guys remember the Police Academy movies back in the 80s?
Of course, yeah.
Do you remember Hightower?
Yes.
So Hightower actually played for the Baltimore Colts back in the day. Do you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
Yeah, so he played back when they had like the Baltimore Colts were like the best team. They had like Johnny Unitas and everything. I want to say that I can't remember if they had Johnny Unitas when they went to the Super Bowl or the first. It was like the very first like Super Bowl where there used to be the NFL and the AFL. And so the very famous, like, Joe Namath predicts we're going to win. He predicts the outcome. The Jets were such an underdog. And then so there was a story where I want to say, no, it wasn't Johnny Unitas who was the quarterback of the Colts then, but the quarterback played like absolute crap. The whole team did. And so what everyone, and they were a huge favorite. And so what the story was that if the Colts would have won that game, the NFL and AFL never would have merged. And then so Hightower's telling the story. I can't remember what his actual name was. I think it was like something Jones. But they were leaving the game and he was like so upset. And one of his teammates was just there smiling, grinning, and just ready to go to the after party. And then he goes to the after party and he says that a lot of the guys were not upset at all. And then he was saying this, I can't remember. It was like it was some kind of a roundtable sports show he was on later, and he was saying the game was rigged. And he realized it at that moment.
Let me ask you this, man, because I read somewhere where you said that Super Bowl III.
Hold on, let's line this up properly.
Okay.
Super Bowl III, Baltimore Colts, the power of the NFL, taking out the upstart New York Jets from the AFL. You guys were the biggest favorite in Super Bowl history, right? No way you could lose. You end up losing 16-7. What happened?
Well, I personally think the game was fixed.
The game was fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
So Michael and his peers can make the money that they'll make.
Michael Irvin? You made the league better, is that what you're saying, if you guys lost?
See, if the Jets don't win that game, then they don't have the NFL the way it is today.
Oh, because it was the merger. It was
the merger. That was the
right.
third.
How did they fix a game like that?
See, the quarterback.
Yeah.
If you remember, we were inside the 25 times in the first half.
Right.
And come away with no points.
Right.
Which is not a characteristic of a Colt team.
But nobody came to you and said, "Hey, Bubba, here's
No.
Well, who did they go to? Sorry.
You see how Bubba looked at Chris? You trying to get me killed.
But who did? So they went to the quarterback. That's what you feel. That's what you feel.
I know he was in on it.
Yeah.
If you go way back and look at all the Super Bowls when it's Super Bowl week, now they run every Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Now when you get to 3 this year, when you just happen to be watching it, you'll see Jimmy Orr standing down in the end zone like this. Nobody is within 30 yards of him. He's the primary receiver.
Right.
And Earl never looked that way.
You're talking about Earl Morrall, your quarterback there. Was there ever a time during the game?
You're really trying hard.
Well, I mean, we can all look it up there. Please don't punch me.
Please do.
Don't hurt him. Did this come to you years later, the day of the game? I mean, 'cause this is kind of serious stuff here that you're throwing out on the table.
No, this was the day of the game.
That you felt that
the
way.
night of the game. The night, you know, I went to what was supposed to be a victory party at Carol's house, Rosenblum.
Right.
And I don't drink. So, you know that term, knock the poison off? You know, so I had 2 sips of champagne. And I was sitting there, and this guy was on the dance floor, and I didn't understand it. We just lost the biggest game.
And he was celebrating.
Yeah. We just lost the biggest game of our life. You know, how many times do you get in that position?
Right.
And it just pissed me off. You know, and I went up on the dance floor and I grabbed him and I threw him out on one of those tables and they asked me to leave. You know, and on the way home, on the way back to the hotel, I'm in a cab, and you know you can look up and you see the cab driver looking at you, and I said, I looked at him about 3 times before I said anything, and he said, "Are you Bubba Smith?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, don't feel bad." He said, "Smart money was on the Jets." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "It came down high lead that put your money on the Jets."
So was Earl Morrill driving the cab, too?
Okay, that's enough. You are a dirty man. You are a dirty man. That is not nice.
No, the lead.
Exactly.
Hey.
I want to say that he died like not long after that.
You could tell he was a ball player because he wasn't the greatest actor. He was
AFL's the
back
best.
in the 80s, you didn't have to be a good actor if you're that big. You could be like Arnold.
But I didn't know that he died shortly after that. That would be worth pulling the thread on a little bit.
But yeah, he was openly saying like, yeah, they got screwed and
he did die young.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know there was such thing as an AFL. I just looked it up. I was so far. Hey, I played football, and I was really good, but I never watched it. So.
Were you a punter, Brian?
No, I actually put me in front of the center,
mascot?
And I tackled the football. I tackled the quarterback more times than anyone ever. I tackled them more. They put me against the really big guys. I wasn't like a huge dude either, but I would just be like, "Pow!" and I'd like go through. So.
Speaking of all of this, have you guys seen that video footage of Cam? Was it Cam Adams?
You mean Cam Newton?
Cam Newton. Sorry, yeah, I'm not. I don't really know who he is. I've seen him in the limelight for 2 reasons recently. One, for getting called out on his faith because he was doing like some ritualistic demonic stuff, and another pastor called him out.
Yeah, he had a guy on there and he was trying to do like some kind of a weird spell type thing with him.
Yeah, the other reason he was in the news, or I saw him in reels, is because he got into a fight with one of the football team's mascot. Like literally live while they're doing some kind of event. He's like running and he did something to piss him off. All of a sudden you can find it. All of a sudden he turns around and he clocks the mascot in the head. And you can see the mascot turn to look at him like, are we going to throw down right now? And they end up like kind of calming down. But Cam Newton is infuriated at this guy and straight up tries to drop him.
Oh, I got it.
It's hilarious, dude.
I got it. Let's watch that.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you. My man head was gonna fall off. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Stop playing with me. Hey, we good. Stop playing with me.
Like, what pissed? I want to know what happened because, dude, he clocked him.
I think it just seemed like Cam was just being a jackass, and he was acting like just crazy.
You're being prideful.
And he pissed off the mascot, and the mascot smacked his hat off. Cam with those idiotic outfits. Let's watch that video. I want to watch that video of him doing the weird, kind of ritualistic thing on his podcast.
Yeah, he gets called out hard, dude, by this pastor.
I don't know who this guy is.
Brian.
He's a retired football player. Is that right?
Yeah. Cam Newton he won the Heisman Trophy at Auburn, and then he was MVP of the league in, it was like 2014 or something like that. Somewhere around
GG's
there.
like, his address is 17497 North.
No, I mean Cam Newton. Cam Newton was one of the best college football players that ever played.
I've heard his name before, so like and
he played for the Panthers, and they went to the Super Bowl, and they lost to the Broncos when Peyton Manning was there.
You just said a bunch.
He was good.
You just said
He
a
was
bunch
good,
of names. I don't even know what you're doing.
But he's a jackass. Let's see this.
I truly believe it was Cam Newton. He was trying to get the brother Jason Wilson to do a ritual. And what you're about to see, like I said, guys, a lot of people are not going to be able to see it. It's a demonic spirit on Cam that's going to manifest. Guys, open your eyes.
It's going to look similar like this. We got your camera, or my camera right here, and your camera right here, our camera right here. It's going to be one finger, then we're going to add the pinky, then add the thumb. And when I say all together, we're going to say what? One love. You ready? Here we go. One finger. You got to do it with me, brother. That's just the sign of love.
Okay, so I hear you. Can I share something else?
Please.
This symbol is called Mana Canudo. It's a satanic salute as well. Google it. So for me, listen.
Google that sign.
Listen to me. Listen. Cam, listen.
Y'all see the spirit? So what you're seeing right now in Cam, it ain't him, bro. It's a demonic spirit.
Crazy, dude.
That's pretty funny, actually. He's just like, yeah, you see that? I ain't gonna do that. Love it. That's hilarious. He's like, no.
Brian, have you ever been asked to do that on one of your podcast tours? To do ritualistic hand signs?
I would respond similarly too. I'd be like, yeah, no.
More believers need to be responding like that, because the way he responded was loving, it was kind, but he drew a hard line. He's like, no, man, no, I'm not doing that. And he knew his stuff, right? So like, he knew exactly what it was. He knew exactly what it was. He knew exactly why he wasn't going to do it. And I just feel, I don't know. I think even for people that don't know what the names of those symbols are, or they don't know what any of that stuff is, it's like, if you have discernment, if you're filled with the Holy Spirit and you've got discernment and you find yourself in any kind of situation where someone's trying to get you to participate in anything like that, that's how we need to be reacting. Like, we need to not be afraid to tell people no.
Cam's probably in the boule. I wouldn't doubt it
one
bit.
For sure. 100% he is.
It's just so weird, to say that I want you to do this with your hand, and then this with your hand, and then this with your hand, and then we say one love at the same time. That does
and then get mad when he doesn't do it with you?
Yeah.
As upset as he got about it, it did seem like that there was something. There was some energy harvesting going on.
Totally, dude. He was trying to trip him up in that.
Dude, it's so stupid. Like, it was just like funny that it's like he tried to do it to the guy. He's like, no. He's like, I'm not gonna do that.
He looked at him like, here's the thing. Yeah. Like, you could tell the whole time he's sitting there thinking, like, how am I gonna break this to him? Like, I'm not doing this silly stuff, man. What in the world?
Men gotta be men. Lesser men probably would have just done it because Cam Newton is a big star, it's a big podcast, and you just do it to appease this guy. But no, he did not want to be in Cam's club.
Let that be an example right there of how we need to be reacting to people when they try to pull funny business around us, and you stand for Jesus.
Yep.
The mascot did nothing wrong.
Truth.
Now we know the mascot was totally justified.
The mascot was probably
smacking his hat off.
The mascot was probably a Christian.
Wouldn't do the ritual with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just think about it though. You talk about people who are in pro sports. They've got low moral character, and then some even worse than that they are in the club big time.
Yeah.
I think that's really probably the thing that really, how they can really control people. Because if you think about it, these guys, unless they're like Tom Brady or somebody, their careers are very short. And then you think about kind of these, I don't know, not necessarily Pro Bowl type players who end up being on ESPN for the rest of their lives, being some kind of a talking head. You really think about how much access these people could give these people in pro sports who know they have such a limited career to end up being on, sports broadcasting or just making millions just being on ESPN later. That is probably really where they could get you. You know what I mean? Because most of these people are not going to make though we know the big stars make buku bucks, most of them don't. And then they get hurt. And then they have no skills to do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, sports definitely is one of the main areas where there has to be some skill there. There has to be some skill. They can't fake it as much. Whereas like musicians, they don't really have to have any skill. I mean, have you guys ever seen Blink-182 live? I'm just saying. Like, so that was really mean. They're not so bad, but I mean, like, it's one of those things where if they have a willing vessel and they're willing to do what they want them to do, and then it just becomes an issue of like, how high do they want to go, and what are they willing to do to get there? The skill is the last part of the equation.
You know, I saw Panic at the Disco live the week before they started blowing up, and it was the most retarded thing I've ever witnessed in my life. They played in my town, and I was like,
Warped Tour?
I don't know
Were they
what
on Warped Tour?
Right before they got huge, they played in my town. Right before they
Yeah, they were on the Vans Warped Tour, I believe.
Yeah, and they were like Panic at the Disco, and I was like, Panic at the Disco. I'm like, why are we going to this thing? Like, this is so stupid. And I went there, and it was the most horrendous. Like, it sounded like jumbled nonsense. Nothing. It just sounded like a bunch of people banging on pots and pans. And I was like, this is the most hideous sounding thing. And not even like 2 weeks later, I heard him on the radio, and I'm like, what the? Wait, that's that stupid band we went and saw, and we were all making fun of them when we went. And like afterwards, we were like, this does not sound like them live at all. It was like they went significantly better, and then like, dude, it was crazy. So yeah, the skill was made. It was manufactured.
Well, so to answer your early question, JT, a couple of bands that I'm sure people are familiar with that like did kind of break through and then they fell off, because I know for a fact they weren't willing to play the game. I'm sure everyone remembers POD.
Oh yeah. They were. Didn't they start off as Christian band?
I think they did.
They are Christians. So I actually know Sonny, and they're very much Christians. He is very much a Christian. He very much has a heart after Jesus, and he's all about ministry. And they released on Atlantic. They released the album.
Boom.
I don't think it was. So on that album was Boom.
Here Comes
and
the
then
Boom.
Alive.
Yeah.
So that album had
a
few singles. But then after that, like they just kind of tapered off. Like they released an album called Satellite after that. They basically just finished their contract, and then they just kind of tapered off. They didn't have any more major releases. And then right around that time was a band called Blindside from Sweden. They're all friends with each other, and they were huge too. They had a song called Pitiful. It was all over the radio. It was all over MTV, everywhere. They were huge as well. And they're still easily one of the best, I don't know if you call them post-hardcore bands ever, but phenomenal. Like, as I got older, I started to realize what his lyrics were. He didn't overtly say Jesus, but like his songs were literally love songs to Jesus. Like his relationship with the Holy Spirit is so profound. But the same thing, like they didn't get their album extended. They didn't put out any more albums after that. And both of those bands, both of those people I know firsthand, they love Jesus, and they wouldn't do what they wouldn't do what
was required of them.
They wouldn't do what was required, and they kind of just fizzled out.
They didn't want to do
Well, that's good. That makes me like them better. Now I have to go back and forgot about them.
Yeah.
That was a good jam.
POD
Boom.
still makes music. So actually both bands still make music, and they're both phenomenal. So
Well, that's awesome. Well, anyways, guys, on that note, we're going to close it down for today, but I appreciate you guys so much for checking us out. Once again, if you guys want to support this podcast, please check out the sponsor of this podcast, Modern Roots Life. Also, if you guys want to watch these episodes early and uncensored, and Brian provides lots of uncensored content, please check us out on Patreon and support this podcast, or grab a t-shirt if you'd like. Anyways, guys, appreciate you guys. Love y'all. God bless.
Later.
Later, guys.